All right, guys, welcome in. It is Thursday. It's time for Total Bases. One series ended last night, and it wasn't necessarily the one I expected to end. The Blue Jays get it done, much to my dismay. I had the Yankees, but I also had the Tigers, who forced a game 5. So a split for me yesterday. Bryan Leonard, I think you might have hit a 5% play yesterday. How was your day?
I did. I had the team total over in the first 5 for Toronto, and I thought I was going to win it in the first inning. They got a run. They had a runner at third base with less than 2 out, and I believe it was less than 2 out, and didn't get him in. Then I had to wait all the way to the 5th inning, and the bottom of the order for the Blue Jays, including the one guy that Brad had talked about yesterday, had another huge day for the Blue Jays. I didn't say who won the player of the. Do they do a player? The MVP of the series, but it should have been him. He hit like 683, I think, in the series, like the third baseman.
What about you, TB? How'd it go yesterday?
Yeah, I went 3-1. I had the Phillies. We talked about it on the show. In divisional playoffs, man, nobody should be minus 200. Nobody. They're not the Miami Marlins, man. They just aren't. But I took them plus 1.5 to be safe. I was kind of surprised they won by a margin. I figured they would lose by 1, but they ended up winning. And I won a couple of team totals. I think I had the Cubs first 5 over, and I had the Mariners first 5 over. So those were all good. Outs props are so tricky in the playoffs. I had Nola. It was 8.5. I thought 3 innings, man. And I talked about it on the show yesterday. Nola had finished 6 innings in 6 out of 7 of his last starts, including a playoff start. So I was just surprised they took him out so early. But when it could be your last game of the season, you're willing to throw the kitchen sink, and that's what they did. They ended up putting Ranger Suarez in, and so I lost that one. But yeah, 3-1's all right. So that's how my day went. I have a 5% play today. Congrats to Bryan on his 5% win. I know they're kind of rare for him. So you had the over, right?
First 5 over. I had him on our parlay, the full game over, and I was able to get there too. So just a different way to play it. I don't like to do that most of the time, but I thought that was a good offensive game plan for Toronto, and the numbers I thought were really low. So and it worked out that way. We've had a lot of success, 22-5 now on 4 and 5 star plays in Major League Baseball, and I think we won 5 straight 5%ers in baseball. So cannot complain at all. Looking forward to today's games.
Yeah, we had so the baseball gods have blessed us with 2 games. Of course, we could have had 0. We could have had 0 if the games went differently yesterday. Both of the teams playing today needed a win to extend the series. TB, great call on the Phillies. That's where we're going to start the first game of the day. So for me, I unfortunately ruined our parlay with Dodgers, but I would say this is the least, for me personally, it's the least invested I've been in any of the 4 series. I think it's because, I over the weekend, I talked about wanting to find a spot to play the Dodgers. Couldn't find that perfect spot. It ended up being the spot to do it was game 1 and game 2. Of course, they come back for game 3. I got to be honest. That was the series, Bryan Leonard, that I figured would be done after yesterday. I just didn't feel like the Phillies got off the mat. Of course, you see Aaron Nola. I had no faith in him whatsoever. And, but credit to, and this is I'll make this point every time we do this show for the rest of the year. Regular season, playoffs, very different. Starting pitching, the way you might handicap a starting pitcher in the regular season, totally irrelevant. What Nola did in the regular season, irrelevant. If Zach Wheeler was on this team, Aaron Nola might not be on this roster. He wouldn't sniff a playoff start. So that didn't surprise me at all. Props to the Phillies bringing in Ranger Suarez, and he pitched well. And, they capitalized on their opportunity, and suddenly these 5-game series, Bryan, this is like they can change on a dime. Suddenly we go 2-0, and it looks like they're dead and buried. They get 1 win, and now they're back with Christopher Sanchez in a game that looks pretty even to me. So Phillies-Dodgers, how are you seeing this one?
Yeah, it should be a good one. And the line tells you that. Glass now is going for the Dodgers. Sanchez, the lefty for Philadelphia. He's been their ace this season and expect good things from him. Glass now, when pitching healthy, he's been very good, but he's had a strange season. Glass right now is about a 125. Let's say 125 favorite here, 7.5 to the over, or you can get. I see a couple of 8s to the under out there, which is pretty low for a Dodgers game. But we've got two starters that are very good when they are on. Christopher Sanchez obviously had a hell of a season. 2.5 ERA, 3.02 expected, 1.06 WHIP. Everything he does is league average or better, and he's just a terrific pitcher. He's been great all season long. I won't go over his numbers, but I will say he only throws 3 pitches, and he throws a sinker, his change, and a slider. If he adds another pitch in the offseason, and that's probably what they'll do, I think he can get to the next level if he has at least one more pitch where he can keep people off. At this point, when you throw your sinker, almost half the time, people can look for certain things. His change, he does very well, 37% of the time, and his slider, 17. But he's been terrific all season long, and I expect nothing more than that here. He's been very good. Tyler Glass now, 3.19 ERA, 3.25 expected, 1.10 WHIP. Still has problems. He can't get the chase rate. He's first percentile in baseball with the chase rate. That is a concern. And his walk rate is 7th percentile. So you would have to, as much as I like Glass now and his career 3.74 ERA and 1.15 WHIP shows that he's very good. The pitching edge, I think, is with Philadelphia in this one. And when you look at Philadelphia's bullpen, they did use some players yesterday, but Kirkering, 11 pitches, Banks 1, Walker and Suarez. Suarez, obviously the starter, went 72 pitches, but Walker 18, another starter. So they're really set up very well in the bullpen. So they should be able to throw everybody out there. From the Dodgers standpoint, from their bullpen, also trying and pitch 10 again. I don't know why they continue. I'll leave it at that. I don't know why they continue to pitch him, but Dreyer, Banda, and even Kershaw got in the game yesterday. So they should be pretty set on bullpens too. Even though the line is low at 7.5, that would be the way I would look at this with the intensity of the game, with Philadelphia having to win to continue on. As much as I like the hitters on both these teams, the pitchers line up very well right here. So you can get that under 8 for minus 113 at certain places out there. I see Heritage has got it right now. That would be the way that I would look in this one. Nothing's jumping out of me in baseball today. I may end up passing, but I'm going to give that Philadelphia Dodgers game a look at the under. Is probably the only way I'm going to look at this game.
Quick promo, guys. Wager Talk lets us put out our MLB plays at $9. Anything less than a 5% play will go out for $9. I have a 5% play up today, but it's at regular price. And let me put a nail in the Yankees coffin here. A lot of comments here. I've been critical of Judge. I don't think he's overrated. He is a generational talent, no doubt about it. But the fact is, in these playoffs, despite all of his hits, only one of the games he made a difference in the score. So he got a lot of hits when they were down 13-0. So I really don't count those. Sorry. That's my opinion. I think the Yankees just were a bad team. Dropped the ball too much, unreliable pitchers, and that was the Yankees' fate. So they're gone. So fortunately, we don't have to hear about the historically great Yankees. On to this game. Two really good pitchers. I have Sanchez ranked number 3 out of every starting pitcher. That's like 250 guys. I have him ranked number 3 on the season. But like Bryan said, playoffs are different. The playoffs are a different animal. Or was it Adam that said that? We all know that, though. Playoffs are a different animal. But Sanchez has good numbers against these batters, but they're not great numbers. They're just kind of good. What does he have here? He's got a 244 average against and a 691 OPS. So those are both numbers that I would consider slightly below the Mendoza line, which is good for a pitcher. And Glasnow also slightly below Mendoza line numbers, 246 average against and a 741 OPS. So those are both low. It's really hard to take an under. Here because these are two of the best lineups in baseball, and the Dodgers probably have the best 6, 7, 8, 9 now that Will Smith is back. Edman actually hit a home run yesterday, which I wasn't expecting. But I'm never going to take an under with these two lineups. I just can't do it. The bullpen's also slightly unreliable, although the Dodgers got some improvement since the playoff came and Sasaki's out there. But you can always rely, or you never feel easy when you take a Dodgers under or even Dodgers on the money line in a tight game, because the manager just makes dumb decisions like he did the other night, putting Trinan in. I don't blame him for putting him in last night. But the night before that, in a really tight game, tight situation, not a good decision. So you're always on pins and needles. I don't know which way to go in this one, to be honest. And let me make a comment on Ohtani. You guys are saying, oh, Judge is bad, but Ohtani's great. Ohtani's struggling a little bit, but what's Judge's ERA and how many strikeouts has he thrown this season? Just tell me that. Ohtani is just a different animal. He's a unicorn. I don't think it's pressure or anything. It just batters go up and down, and he's just down right now. He has hit a home run in the playoffs. But yeah, Ohtani's a little cold. Despite him being cold, the Dodgers are still in the driver's seat. So just imagine if Ohtani gets hot, how dominant they will be. I can't pick a side in this one, though, and I can't pick an over-under. So that's my long-winded way of saying I don't know in this game. Sorry.
I just want to make one comment about Ohtani. He hasn't had to pitch last year, which is why he had such a terrific season. Now he's got the time that he would be using in the batting cage. He's got to worry about pitching now. So, yes, offensively, it's a step back, but still the advantages of him being a starting pitcher, and he's a very good one, or something that we just haven't seen. And he's, like you said, he's a generational talent. And from the Judge standpoint, who would have been the Yankees MVP for hitters in the playoffs so far? Would it have been Judge?
That's what I've got pulled up. I mean, Aaron Judge hit 500 and a 1273 OPS in the playoffs. I mean, incredible.
Yeah.
The rest of the team was awful. That there's not another guy on that team that had a decent playoffs. Maybe Paul Goldschmidt. Paul Goldschmidt would have been like your next best, and he was like in a borderline platoon, right? Like, because they were kind of flipping him and Rice around sometimes. So yeah, the Boone awful, gonna have to move on from him. Why did Jackson Dominguez not get an at bat until the 9th inning last night? Right? I mean, of course he comes up, hits a bullet, but they want to force Austin Wells out there, and Volpe's a disaster. He's going to keep that seat warm for our guy George Lombard, and then they can send him to the moon as well. Yeah, the Yankees are awful. You're right. That's an overrated team, but let's not slander Aaron Judge on this show. He's the best player in the league. It's not close. Ohtani would be close.
Ohtani, he's the best player. Yeah,
Ohtani and Judge. There's no one else in the conversation right now.
Yes, but none of his hits.
Who else do you put in the conversation? Who else would be on the same stratosphere as Ohtani?
Big Dumper is having.
Yeah, Cal. He's had a tremendous
season. Schwarber, next level down maybe, but yeah, none of Judge's hits mattered except the last game. But yeah,
I mean it's irrelevant because it's not going to help us.
It's not his fault. It's not his fault.
Irrelevant though, because this is a betting show and that doesn't really help us cash tickets. So let's get back to this game. The only again, I'll go back to the beginning of the handicap here. This series for me personally, just the least I've been invested in any of the four. I doubt I'll have a bet here. I think I agree with TB in the respect that I'd love to somehow get money on Christopher Sanchez. I don't know if I want to do it in the context of needing a Phillies full game win. But when I look at the two starting pitchers, so I don't know if this is a plus or a positive or a negative, but they really they struggled with Suarez yesterday. So that wrinkle of bringing in Ranger Suarez after Nola seemed to quiet the Dodgers offense down a little bit. Now, Christopher Sanchez is like a far better sort of version of Suarez in a lot of ways, where it's like, you're going to get the lefty, which maybe the Dodgers struggle with. Now, having Will Smith back helps them a ton against left-handed pitching, but I have more faith in Suarez than Glasnow right now. So outside of that, I'm with you, TB. It's splitting hairs between these two teams, but Glasnow this year, of course, he's another guy that had to come off of injury. When he hasn't had his command, it's not been great. Like, he's put guys on. The fact that he doesn't get a ton of swing and miss out of the zone is a little bit concerning. And then again, it's not, to me, it wouldn't be a concern in the context of like a regular season start. But when you're in the playoffs and everything's magnified, I think Christopher Sanchez is the starter I would prefer here. So I say maybe like Christopher Sanchez props, whatever props are correlated to him. Maybe a Phillies first 5. I didn't even look at that. What can you let me check the price on like Phillies first 5. Are they going to give you the half run or no? Are they giving you the half run at like anything reasonable here? Should have looked before we were doing the show, but we got time.
Yeah.
There's only 2 games.
Well, you can get Philadelphia with just straight up at 110 is the best number out there right now at the South Point. But
no, they are. I mean, you can get that half a run for minus 130, maybe minus 135. It looks like. I'm not saying that that's like the best bet in the world from a price standpoint, but I could see them at least holding serve through the first 5 innings. Glasnow, Suarez here. And I don't know which bullpen gives it up, to be honest with you. This is a tough game. I likely won't have a play, but I think there is some value in Christopher Sanchez stuff. First 5, maybe an outs over. This is one where I could see him kind of it being his game to an extent. I think he is one of the guys that maybe has earned the right a little bit here, especially knowing that they're going to have a game 5 coming up. So that would be how I would play it. Okay. Anyone else have, because we have the time, does anyone have anything to add on Phillies Dodgers before we move on here?
Nope.
All right. Heading to the night game, heading to Wrigley Field. This one we've got, I guess, a little bit of unknown with what the teams are going to do here. Bryan, Leonard, do we have official pitching announcements for either of these two teams yet?
I haven't seen it. There's been talk about bringing some guys back short on rest, and I don't like that. So, for this one, I don't see anything right now. From a bullpen standpoint, Milwaukee's bullpen looks like they're in pretty good shape. Let me take a look at the Cubs.
I read, but I don't know how reliable what I read was, but it's looking like the Brewers, there's a possibility they'll start Peralta on 4 days rest.
Yeah.
And it's also possible that the Cubs will start Boyd. So, but that's not set by any means. I would agree with Milwaukee starting Peralta, but we'll get to that in a minute, I guess. I don't know if they will or not, but Milwaukee's bullpen sure has been hot as hell, haven't they?
So just looks really good here, but the Cubs bullpen, the Cubs used all their best relievers yesterday. Palencia 15, Kittredge 18, Keller 19, Thielbar 11, and Pomerantz 15. Now they didn't pitch the game before that or the day before that, but I would think having to use those guys gives Milwaukee a little bit of an edge in the bullpen. And if it is the pitcher that you had mentioned, I think that's an edge for Milwaukee because, as I've talked about the situation with the Cubs with Boyd, he's run out of gas. It's clear he's run out of gas, and they keep bringing him in here on short. That's just a disaster waiting to happen. They should have kept more starters on their playoff roster. If he does pitch, they may only pitch him an inning or 2. So, at the current line right now, we're looking at Milwaukee about a 115 favorite, total of 7. Based on that, if we do get those 2 starting pitchers, I think Milwaukee has an advantage here. But without the knowledge of that, knowing who's going to go, I can't make a major comment. But like I said, neither one of these games is jumping out at me today. So I'll likely pass on this one.
This could be a short show. Let me just expound a little bit on what I was saying. I think I agree with Bryan. The Cubs bullpen's a little bit spent. Milwaukee's bullpen has been hot. If Milwaukee starts Peralta, I think they have a huge advantage. He held them down pretty good in his last start against them. Boyd was yanked after 2 outs against the Brewers his last start, and he gave up 6 runs against them in a start earlier, I think in July 29th or so, around there. Or was it? Yeah, July. So, I mean, some people in the comments are saying the Brewers are just toying with the Cubs. No, I don't think that's the case. The Cubs are a good team. Look, when you get to the divisional series, nobody is the White Sox here. Every team is good. Every team can win. No team at all should be a minus 200 at this point in the season. Even if you have Nolan Ryan against, I don't know, who am I trying to think of that fat guy from Aruba? What was his name who pitched for the Orioles? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
God, I can't remember his name. He's like the worst pitcher I ever saw. Big fat guy from Aruba who pitched for and then he went to the Yankees about 20 years ago. You guys don't know who I'm talking about. Okay, anyways, not Bartolo Colon. It was the big white guy from Aruba. Anyways, the name will come to me in a minute. But even in that situation, you shouldn't be a minus 200. So I think Milwaukee has a huge advantage here. Sidney Ponson. Thank you, Tessie. Yes, Sidney Ponson is the guy I was thinking of. Exactly. Anyways, I think the Brewers have an advantage here, but the Cubs are going to be backs to the wall. Now, I am not as much of a situational capper as like a guy like Marco. So I don't think backs to the wall really means that much at this point, because when you're out there trying to hit a ball, you're not thinking, oh, my team's down 3-1. I better hit this harder than I did yesterday. You're not thinking like that. You're just thinking, I have to hit the ball. You have a ceiling of a limited ability, and every player does. And you do your best to hit the ball on a certain day. So I'm not much of that back against the wall kind of thing. I think that works in college sports, but I don't think that really works in pro sports. That's just my opinion. So I think the Brewers have a big advantage here. Their team total's 3.5. I think that's a little light. The only thing that concerns me is they're on the road. But Cubs bullpen's a little spent. Maybe a Brewers team total might be a way to go here. 3.5 seems a little light to me.
I guess the problem, it's not a bad problem to have. The Brewers are up 2-1 in this series, but like, to me, it's clear that it's going to be Matthew Boyd for the Cubs. He'll be on normal rest. He threw 30 pitches before they took him out of that game on Saturday. So, right, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's his 5th day. He threw 30 pitches in his last start. So, regardless of the only reason to not start Matthew Boyd here is if you have no confidence in Matthew Boyd. Like, that would be the reason not to start him, not that he's on short rest, because he's not on short rest. Like, the guy that would be on short rest would be well, I guess he's not even really on short rest either, because they had the extra day off. So this will, like, right, it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I'm pretty confident that's what you're going to see for the matchup. No one's on short rest because they had the extra off day. So they played Saturday and they were the game 1 starters. The National League had the off day on Sunday because they want to spread out the games and where they are on the TV. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, both starters are on regular rest. I don't understand why they wouldn't be the starter in this game. Like, why has that not been announced yet? Like, no one's pitching on short rest. That was in my head. I was like, oh, well, they pitched Sunday, but they haven't. They pitched Saturday. It's Thursday. That's right. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday would be the 5th day. So why I don't really get that whole. Go ahead.
Quick comment. In the article I read that said Peralta could be a likely starter. Somehow, now I don't know how the actual math or how the calendar works out, but they said if they save him for a possible game 5, then it works out perfectly for him to start game 1 of the next series. Now, I don't know the math or
there's no way that can't be possible.
I wasn't sure how reliable
it would be if he starts tonight. If he starts tonight, it might work out for him to start game 2. No,
perhaps.
these series are going to start on like Sunday or Monday. There's no gap,
Yeah.
and this isn't the NBA. There's no
When I
gap
read
in the
that, it
schedule.
didn't make a
They
lot of
go
sense
right
to
to the
me.
next. They
Yeah,
go
it
right to
didn't
the
make a
next
lot of
series.
sense when I read it, but
So
anyways, yeah, I think they
there-
should start him today and just put the nail in the coffin. Yeah.
I can't understand what the why you wouldn't start either of those guys unless you're because again, like the only thing I can think of is the Brewers are sitting there like they would theoretically they would be in a bullpen game in game 5 if Peralta doesn't get it done here, because you're going to probably be in the Ashby Mizorowski type setup again like you were in game 2. But like, I don't know that would be, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to just go bullpen game here? You probably couldn't use Mizorowski the way you would want to because he threw on Monday 50 some odd pitches. So to me, it's a no brainer. I think you're going to see Peralta, Boyd. Right now I'm handicapping this game as if those two are the starters. I think that's what you're going to see. I'm with you, Bryan. Like Boyd hasn't been as sharp second half, but I mean, I don't know that like, okay, so here's the other thing. I think the Cubs might be less committed to Boyd in this game than the Brewers will be to Peralta. So it's like, if you're the Brewers and you're up 2-1 in the series, and you know that game 5 is going to be essentially a mix of like Ashby, because remember, Woodruff, I don't think is on the roster at all.
No,
so if you're going to go to game 5 at home and you know it's going to be like Ashby, Mizorowski, like I do think the Brewers need to a little bit manage this game with the back of their head being like, okay, we have to have all the big guns lined up the way we want to for game 5, because we don't really have a guy that like, we don't know exactly who it's going to be, right? So it's going to be maybe Ashby as the opener, maybe Mizorowski for 3 or 4 innings. Like to me, whereas like this game, it's like for the Cubs, all right, we'll start with Matthew Boyd and then we'll kind of go from there and we'll unload just to keep this going. They are at home. So it really, this to me, the handicap is very like, how much do you trust Freddie Peralta? He's been their ace. They did just see him. So like, that's the key here. If the Cubs can get to Peralta, they probably win this game, because I don't think the Brewers would. I think they'd be very careful with who they use after Peralta, knowing that they're going to need like their best 4 or 5 relievers to win game 5. That really creates an interesting wrinkle in this game to me. The fact that that's probably how it's going to play out. Go ahead, Bryan.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Cubs pitching situation. I agree. I think Boyd will be on a lesser leash here, and based on the way he's pitched, and the only other starters they've used is Imanaga, who's been terrible, and Tyon, who's actually been pretty good for them coming down the stretch. But they do have guys that have started in the past. They have Soroka, Savali, Ray, and Brown. Ray pitched 60 pitches on Monday, so he won't be there. But you've got Soroka, Savali, and Brown who could come in and give you some extended numbers. Wouldn't it be ironic if Aaron Savali comes in and shuts down his former team that wouldn't let him start and sends this game to the fifth game in the series? That would be funny. It would be great for Savali. Not so great for the Brewers, but just an interesting way to look at this game.
One interesting thing also about Peralta, he has great numbers against the Cubs in his career, but his away numbers, quite a big dichotomy between his home and away. His home numbers are just unreal, and his away numbers are like 3.7 ERA, not great, but you can live with the 3.7 ERA if your hitters are hitting the ball. Another thing about Boyd, you mentioned that the Cubs will probably have a short leash on him. Well, he got 2 outs the last game before they took him out. So he got pulled in the first inning. So yeah.
Yeah, but that's because he was ineffective though.
Yeah,
he gave up two earned. It's a quick leash though. I mean, 2 earned for a starter. Usually you leave him in the regular season, but yeah, it's the playoffs. So
well, I also think the Cubs maybe did that because they knew they were going to be in this spot, right? They had to because they knew they don't have Cade Portman. So they had to think like, all right, I'm sure that was the game plan. Hey, we fall behind a little bit here. We're just going to I guarantee you that was all discussed. And it's like, okay, we need to just make Boyd our game 4 starter. he only threw 30 pitches. So he's, again, both these guys are on normal rest here. But Peralta had his normal start last time out. So again, like I think, he shut the Cubs down earlier this year. Last time he faced them, 6 innings. The Cubs got to him previously, so it's an interesting game. Probably it is a tough sort of handicap because when Peralta's on, he's an ace. The Cubs have seen him plenty, which can help an offense. Like you see a guy enough, especially like the Cubs, a lineup like the Cubs, like they can get to just about anyone they see repeatedly. And in these types of spots, I think I like how this sets up for the Cubs a little bit better, just because they're going to be so quick to get away from Boyd if they have to. Maybe creates a little bit of a dynamic like you saw with the Jays last night, which seemed to work for them. I'm not saying it's going to work here, but it could be a similar mentality. It's an interesting
comment.
What sucks Cubs didn't have Horton. Yeah, I mean, that was huge. Like that, I kind of said it before these series. I didn't think the Cubs could really win this series without Horton, and I didn't think the Phillies could win their series without Wheeler. Like starting pitching, they're unicorns these days. Like good starters. Not many teams have them, and you need them in the playoffs. You really do. Like you need to have a couple of good starting pitchers that can go 6-7 innings in the playoffs, or it's tough to win a playoff series. Go ahead, Bryan.
Yeah, I read an article that Cade Horton, if the Cubs continue on in the playoffs, he may be available, which at one point I thought he was completely out. So that's something to look forward to if you're a Cubs fan. He may be back. Who knows if he'll be fully healthy, but he gives them another quality arm.
And we're talking about how much of a unicorn it is to have a good starting pitcher who can give you 5 good innings. Ohtani can do that, and he can be number 2 in MLB in home runs. So stop with this Ohtani is overrated, complete BS talk in the chat.
I don't know why anyone would call Ohtani or Judge overrated.
They say Albert Pujols is better than Ohtani. I asked, what's Albert Pujols' ERA? Seriously, come on.
Pujols was a great player, but
Pujols was a great hitter. Absolutely. And base stealer in his prime.
Not a good runner, especially in his elderly years. But
I mean, if you want to talk who was the best in their prime, I mean, Mike Trout was the best 5-tool player in his prime, probably. I mean, he's one of them. You could go back to the 70s, but I mean, stop saying Ohtani's overrated. Just stop.
Good comment here from Steve. Yeah, PCA and Tucker have good numbers against Peralta. That also makes sense. I thought PCA was going to be the guy that really stepped up in the playoffs for the Cubs. Like I felt like it was coming for him. I don't have his numbers in front of me for the for like the playoffs thus far. I know he's had a couple big hits, but we could start going into maybe some props, like maybe a good day for a PCA prop. He's only got a 454 OPS in the postseason. That's not very good. I feel like he is like mega due for a big hit, big spot. And so if he has decent numbers against Peralta, maybe you get they dropped him in the order a little bit. Maybe you get a bargain on a PCA prop. Maybe PCA goes yard tonight at Wrigley. Bryan, what's the weather look like at Wrigley tonight?
The wind's blowing, I believe, from left to right. Or excuse me, let me make sure I check that correctly.
Left to right helps PCA a little bit. He likes to put that ball in a right field seats, so that could help him.
Okay, here we go. Right to left. I'm sorry, going right to left.
Not helping.
They expect 21% less runs in this game, and then with a total of 7, you can see that the wind's not blowing out. The wind is blowing out a little bit at Dodger Stadium, but they've only got a +2% more runs. But it's for myself. PCA was fantastic in the first half. He's been pretty bad in the second half. He continues to swing and miss at pitches out of the strike zone. He's got to make the adjustment in the offseason. He needs to make the adjustment. The pitchers have made it to him, and obviously he's not the same player now as he was before. But when you got that kind of speed, you're always going to contribute to your team. And he's a great defensive player. But from a hitting standpoint, he needs to make those adjustments and cut down on his strike zone a little bit, be a little bit more selective, and he can come back next year and play as well as he did earlier.
Here's the interesting thing about these two teams is you would think the Cubs are the uber talented lineup and Milwaukee is just, guys who are out there, busting their butt and squeezing runs out. But actually the Cubs or the Brewers actually have more hits than the Cubs. They also have more runs than the Cubs. The thing that the Cubs have a huge lead over the Brewers in is home runs and slugging. So it means the Cubs are a long ball team where the Brewers are kind of a run manufacturing team. But man, have they been doing it quite well. And who is it? Terang got the base stealer Terang out there. And but they don't have a lot of sluggers, in my opinion. I mean,
they don't have
a couple guys,
kind of sluggers or some Philadelphia.
that?
But the Yankees and Philadelphia are the teams that hit a lot of home runs and don't do a whole lot else. And when it comes to playoffs and you're facing the best of the best, it's hard to do that. You got to be able to manufacture runs, and that's been the Yankees' problem.
It's funny, we see a lot of bunts in the playoffs, and you never see bunts in the regular season.
They're having people bunt that never bunt, and that's the problem you run into. You got to coach these guys up. You should always have somebody on the team that teaches bunting and have them practice that every week.
Right.
I mean, I don't think there's any question that the better of these two teams are the Brewers. Like, to me, like it's not that close in terms of the better team is Milwaukee all around. Like, if you were just to look at like pretty much from every angle, but the thing is, like, these are two division rivals. They're not that far apart. Winning on a given day, like that's where the series becomes difficult for me, because I think it's clear. Like, if I was just evaluating team versus team, like, Milwaukee's better, but these two teams have now played this will, I believe, be their 17th meeting of the year, right? I think we get 13 regular season, and then they've played now 3 times so far this week. They know each other well. The margin is between them is not that big, and that's what makes it kind of a difficult handicap either way. Like, I could see either of these teams winning. I do think the weather factors that Bryan just pointed out help the Brewers a little bit. Peralta, I feel like if you're going to beat Peralta, you got to take him deep. Like, that's kind of, he's more of a fly ball pitcher. I feel like you got to take him deep to really, to beat him. And it's going to be harder to do that if, the wind is blowing right to left and it's blowing in. But that's going to be, this is going to be the tough part as we get deeper into the playoffs. It's going to be hard to find value. It's going to be hard to find betting angles. You've got really good team against really good team. So we'll do our best to talk about it. But I know for me, like, I've had quite a bit of volume so far, like more than I expected to this point in the playoffs. I feel like my volume might start to thin out. It's just, you can make a case for both sides. I feel like it's hard to bet that. So
that's the problem with the playoffs is it's like the Dodgers Phillies matchup. You got two uber talented lineups who can slug it hard. You got two really good rotations and two poor bullpens. I mean, to me, the Dodgers and Phillies are almost like a mirror of each other. The biggest difference would be the 6, 7, 8, 9 hitters on the Dodgers have a huge advantage. And actually, I think the Phillies rotation is a little better than the Dodgers. So it's really a stalemate there. But these two teams are not mirrors of each other. The Brewers and Cubs are but the Brewers have I don't know how they did it. Honestly, when I went on my rant before the All-Star break and said the Brewers season is done, they're cooked, I couldn't have been more wrong. But I still, now looking at this team, I don't know how they're doing it. It's not smoke and mirrors, though, because they've been doing it consistently for a long time. I don't know how they're doing it, though. I really don't.
From a total standpoint, I think if you could get an 8 in that Phillies game, which is probably juiced at this point, that's probably maybe the best look on this slate here. I think Bryan mentioned that he liked the under in that earlier game. But yeah, these are tough. These games are tough today. I hope still doing this show at this point is helpful, just to us talking through, and maybe it gets you to look at something a certain way or look at it differently. But that's kind of how these last few are going to be. We probably won't go even close to this long tomorrow, but we will be on 9 a.m. Eastern to break down the Tigers-Mariners Game 5. And we'll keep, we're with you right here through the World Series. We're obviously trying to find winners as well. TB's got one he loves tonight in some angle in one of these two games. He's got a 5%er.
Yep.
And then any of our plays the rest of the way that aren't 5%ers are $9. So check that out. Bryan Leonard's got hockey going. Like the puck has dropped. A lot of good hockey content on the site. Admittedly, I'm not a hockey guy, but I know Andrew McKinnis started a new show. Puck Time is back. I've always said like this was I wanted to have a baseball show that kind of was like Puck Time and what they did for hockey. So that's an OG show. That I feel like Puck Time's been going on for like 5 years at this point.
Yeah,
I was watching Puck Time before I joined Wager Talk. I was watching Puck Time, but you know what? The football people are doing that end zone show live. Is there any way we could do like a baseball live show while watching baseball games? I don't know. Maybe
I don't think anyone would join.
I gotta be honest. They're doing all these things for football, and how do you concentrate on the football games when you're listening to other guys talk? That is the opposite of what I want to do. I don't never want to be on one of those shows.
Listen to Brian.
I used to do that. I did that on Sports Grid for a while. Tony Finn and I would fill in and try to do live, and they're talking and you can't pay attention and you don't know who's coming up, and it's a complete waste of time. Sorry, I'm not interested in that.
Got it.
But I will say, Puck Time, I will be on, and it's at 8:00 today. I will be on there. I'm on Thursdays, and they do a terrific job. But no, I don't want to be on one of those live things. I got to watch the games myself. I can't watch 12 games at one time. No.
I would do it. I would do it for the NCAA tournament games if, like, we were all together and the cameras were just set up. Like, if I didn't have to be looking at this nonsense back here, I'd probably do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you're right. I've done it a couple times. It's very hard to concentrate. But then again, the 1 p.m. slate is always hard to concentrate anyway. Like, because it's like the NFL puts way too many games on at the same time. So you're already just like, well, whatever. We'll just throw Red Zone on, and it's going to be a shit show anyway. So why don't we just BS with 6 of our coworkers during the game? But I have zero interest in doing that for baseball. I need to be locked in. I need to sound on. I don't want to hear Tokyo Brandon. I don't want to hear Brian. I want to hear fucking AJ Pierzynski talk about whatever the hell he's going to talk about.
Yeah,
so
that's true. And baseball is all about matchups, and you can't really focus on the pitcher hitter matchup.
You got to see who's coming up to bat in order to place a bet.
Yeah, that's kind of true. And baseball moves a little bit slower than football, let's be honest. So yeah. Sure, I got you. Okay, well, this will be our shortest show of the year so far. And
tomorrow's going to be shorter, I promise.
Tomorrow probably will be shorter.
Tomorrow will be even shorter, but we will be here to break it down for you guys, and Brian will be in a better mood, we promise.
I got my COVID shot yesterday, so I haven't been affected, but my arm hurts.
Gotcha. All right, well, we can close it out. Remember, guys, MLB bets are all $9 except 5% plays. 5% plays are regular price, and we put free plays up almost all the time. So go to wagertalk.com and check the free plays page out.
Yeah, good luck tonight if you decide to get involved with these. Keep an eye on our pages, and we'll see you guys 9 a.m. tomorrow to talk Mariners Tigers Game 5.